Okay, welcome everybody. Good afternoon. I do see that we got quite a few that's joining on now. Again, this is for our kinesiology 410 class, economics of sport. And I've also invited some of our other classmates in other courses to join as well, and some of our graduate students. So you may see some unfamiliar faces as we get started today, but glad to have you all on. I know we have students that are in this class that are traveling for athletic competitions, so they're going to be trying to join the Zoom session today. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and just kind of do some quick classroom things to make sure that we're all accounted for today's session. So if those of you that are in 410 or any of the classes that I'm teaching this semester, to get credit, I do want you to type in the chat box. Okay, type in the chat box, type in your name, and that will tell me exactly who's on. I can see a lot of your faces here, but just to document it. So type in the chat box your name for me. And then as soon as we get that done, we'll go ahead and get started. And I do see that we have Carlos on. Hello, Carlos. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
I'm doing well.
Good.
It's been a couple of years since we actually talked. So
yeah,
maybe 2 or 3 years. So it's been a while. Good to see that you're doing well. Mario, Mario, how are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'm in. How's it going? Mario, how are you doing? I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us in our class session this afternoon. And it's very exciting to kind of have 2 graduates that graduated from our program a couple of years ago. I believe in 2018. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Awesome. So 3-4 years removed from the program and are doing excellent things. Working for Kroenke Sports and worked in a number of different capacities within the business. So I invited them on. I connect with them. I connect with all of my students through LinkedIn to kind of stay on top of things and make sure that our students are connected with our graduates, but also in terms of network connections to those professionals in the industry. And as I mentioned throughout all of my classes, very, very important as much as what you know, but also who you know in the industry. Right? So I invited Mario and Carlos, some of my top students in the program that had graduated from Adams State. Former student athletes, both played soccer, and excellent students in the program. Each back then was now it's kinesiology. But they've done a fantastic job as students. So I wanted them to join us today so that we can make that connection with our students, and also and to hear from them, their perspective. Maybe kind of for you all of you to kind of share, maybe ask a couple questions for them, how they made that transition from student to professional, right? So you have really 2 examples here, really good 2 professionals that's really going to help you to make that transition from student to graduate. So glad to have you both on. I know that a few of you have joined on now. So those of you who just joined, make sure you type in the chat box, your name on the chat box so that you're counted for a role in attendance. Okay, so go ahead and do that now, and then we'll jump right in. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and before the course that I'm teaching. Well, I'm teaching multiple courses, but this particular class is kinesiology 410, which is economics of sport. And we talk about the economic impact of the sport industry from the professional level, collegiate level, youth, and also high school, right? We know how big the industry is. We also know COVID-19 has had an impact on the sport industry as a whole, collectively as a whole. So before we jump into the discussion about the economic impact of sport, and from your perspective, Mario and Carlos, kind of talk about that, let's go ahead and kind of talk about your introduction, maybe give us a few minutes, where you're from, what did you do in high school, a little bit about your background and studying and your experience here at Adams State, and then what you did as soon as you graduated. So let's go ahead and start with Mario.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, I graduated in 2018, sport management major. I had a minor in marketing as well. played soccer for 4 years. Really went to Adams State for, the soccer program as well as the sport management program. The smaller class sizes, the ability to connect with your teacher, like Professor T. He was one of my teachers for 4 or 5 different classes, and be able to keep in touch with him there. After college, didn't really know what I wanted, what exactly I wanted to do. Obviously knew I wanted to work in sports. It's something I've been passionate about for my whole life, and didn't know exactly what role to get into. So started off first, a couple part-time jobs with a Parks and Rec in Aurora, Colorado. That's where we're from, and then a part-time job with the Rapids as well. Started off as, it's called a street team member. So essentially we just worked around the stadium, got there about 5 hours before the game, set up tents, set up helped with activations, different things on the field. A really good experience to kind of get to know some people within the Rapids and everything like that. And then we actually got Carlos and I both got an opportunity to go to the MLS Sales Center, which was in Minnesota, which was definitely an interesting experience. You kind of just packed up. You're living in a dorm room for 2 or 3 months, and you're just literally calling for different soccer MLS teams around the country. Sometimes we're calling for to sell tickets for Vancouver, Philadelphia, Houston, a bunch of different things, kind of working, sometimes 12 hours a day. So that was definitely an interesting experience. But then, I think Carlos and I both knew we're from Colorado, wanted to, work for Kroenke and just kind of have that connection with being, working for our hometown team. So I was able to get a job with the Rapids in their inside sales program. It's kind of just an entry-level ticket sales job. You're just, cold calling, cold emails to, a lot of different people, just trying to, bring them out to soccer games, see their experience, and, kind of build up from there. And then I think October of 2019, I was promoted to soccer sales account executive. So there I kind of work with a lot of different soccer clubs around the state. We have about 40 or 50 clubs that I'm in charge of, just helping their teams get out, helping, set up club nights, fundraising nights, different things like that. Carlos always gives me stick because, I'm selling soccer to soccer teams. So it's not the hardest thing in the world. But it's been, good experience, and it's been a tough, year or so, but hopefully, getting back to normalcy here pretty soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Mario. Carlos?
Yeah, I kind of echo that. Obviously, like Mario said, you grew up in Colorado, grew up in the Denver area. So going to Adams State was a big deal for us for a couple of reasons. Obviously, the soccer program was a big draw there. And then, like I said, the sport management program that we had was something that interested us as well. Like I said, we knew we always wanted to work in sports. To be honest, didn't know the capacity until we got closer to graduation. But then, like Mario said, we had the opportunity to go to Minnesota and go to that training program, which obviously helped us a ton. And we had an interview, I think, on a Wednesday, and they said, "Oh, the first day is Monday. Can you be here?" And I said, this is what I want to do. I have to sacrifice something. So me and Mario packed up our car and drove 12 hours to Minnesota, and we were there for a couple months. And it was a grind. It was, every day you're just making calls and kind of just learning the sales process and things like that. But like I said, it led us to get positions that we are now. I ended up getting a job offer from LAFC in MLS. Some things kind of happened there, and it didn't end up working out. But I ended up getting another interview with the Denver Nuggets in the same position as Mario, so inside sales in their inside sales program. So it was cool. I mean, we're working for the same company, different teams doing the same positions. So I was with them during their playoff run a couple years ago when they got knocked out by the Blazers in the Western Conference semifinals. So that was obviously fun. Working 3-4 games a week, inviting clients out, trying to sell tickets, and working towards a promotion, which is essentially what inside sales is. It's entry level. And after about 9 months, I did a lot of networking and things, obviously, with the different teams, met with people at the Rapids, and ended up getting a promotion to account executive season ticket sales with the Colorado Rapids. So that was obviously cool, being back into soccer and going to where my brother was. It was, it was a cool time with the Nuggets, obviously, and NBA is a lot different than MLS, but I saw it as a promotion and a chance to grow and develop myself as a professional, as a salesman. And obviously, the last year or so has been tough with COVID, and it's definitely impacted us a lot. obviously the team financially and stuff, but this is what I want to do. I follow my passion, and obviously, going to Adams State was a big reason. So, that's kind of what led us to where we are today.
Awesome. Thank you, Carlos. And so from your experience, Carlos, I know you worked with the Denver Nuggets and also with the Rapids. Can you share with us a little bit about maybe the difference between the two from your sales experience? Was one more, I guess, challenging than another? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I would say that there's different challenges in both of them. Me as a entry level salesman with the Nuggets, I didn't get the best leads, what they call them. I didn't get the best people that were just interested right off the bat. And even though the Nuggets were an upcoming team, there was some challenges. If you kind of think about it, the NBA has 41 regular season games, and we had another one also. Selling 42 games is not something that an average person can just take on. And their families take on. So the biggest differences would probably just be the products that we're selling. Like I said, 42 games as opposed to 17 home games with MLS. And a lot of times, it's a downtown arena with the Nuggets. So, it's not necessarily geared towards the biggest family aspect. So trying to convince a family of 4 with 2 kids to come to a Wednesday night game at 7:00 isn't the easiest thing. But and the NBA is also a very player-driven league. So we have, obviously a lot of big players, and also a lot of transplants in Denver. So a lot of people that aren't from Denver that just like big teams or like big names. You have to kind of know what their sales proposition is, what they're doing needs analysis, and see what's going to sell them. And transitioning into the Rapids, it was a little tough. I'm not going to lie, it was difficult. Selling basketball opposed to soccer in America is obviously a little bit different, but the biggest thing for me is that the sales process is the same. You have to ask questions, you have to find what they need and recommend a product, and then refine your process. So regardless of who you're working for, it could be the Yankees or it could be an MLS team, you're always gonna have to go through the sales process, and just always kind of be ready to develop, be coachable, and that's the biggest thing for sales, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And one of the things that we talked about in our class, Carlos and Mario, is about MLS being one of the fastest growing sport here in the U.S. Tell us about kind of your pitch, or maybe just kind of talking to your potential clients about the growth of MLS and the direction where it's going. We're seeing it now just with MLS and the popularity of soccer. More and more fans are more intrigued with the game. And, obviously COVID-19 has kind of changed the dynamics a little bit with ticket sales, but eventually that's going to come back soon. But how are you preparing for that? I guess that influx of popularity of sport when it comes to ticket sales.
I'll let Mario take this one. He's more the MLS guy.
Okay. Yeah, I think like you said, it's definitely a fast growing league. I think over the past few years, you see the rise of players coming who aren't just at the tail end of their career, maybe had a good career in Europe and then coming here for their last few years. I have actually some younger, exciting players who we kind of the MLS sales on later for bigger money. But that's kind of been something that was preached to us even from when we went to the sales center in Minnesota, that this league is only 25 years old, 26. It's about to start its 26th season. So if you compare that to baseball, football, NBA, even they've had a lot longer to kind of develop their fan base. Get people accustomed to what they do, day in and day out. So the MLS, that's another challenge in itself. I guess, working for the Rapids, if you look at it, the Broncos are probably, the most superior team. Then it goes maybe Avalanche, Nuggets are probably tied for, the second one. So the Rapids in itself are, at a disadvantage because there's, other sports teams in the market. So, the way that, the MLS is growing, I think it's helped that in the way of, hopefully, one day maybe overtaking baseball or hockey, and to get into that big four, as as they say for sports. So it's been a challenge over the past couple of years. Especially our team wasn't great when I first started. I think we went on like a 9-game losing streak or something, something like that. So just keeping like in sports, keep your head down and keeping the faith that things are going to turn around, and whatever the case is for later on in the season. But that's kind of the, it's very similar to playing sports and, selling sports, because you have to be coachable. Like Carlos said, you have to be willing to adapt, kind of work on the fly. And hopefully over the next few years, we see the the fruition come to, the MLS, getting a little more popular, getting more, revenue, getting on ESPN, getting on Fox, different things like that, that hopefully, become more of a normal thing than, a one-off on a Saturday night, like it kind of is now.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And I don't want to take up most of the time for our session today, because I know Carlos and Mario are very busy with work. So I want to kind of give our students an opportunity to kind of ask a few questions, more of a Q&A, pick your brain a little bit. They're in the boat that you were in a couple years ago. So not many years far removed from when you were graduating, when you were a senior. This is a senior level class. So let's go ahead and start with Riley. Riley, you want to go ahead and ask your first question there for Carlos and Mario?
Yeah, for sure. So I know you, Carlos, you kind of touched on it a little bit since you went from soccer to basketball. But what were some challenges you guys faced when beginning these marketing jobs, and what did you do, and what helped you guys adapt to those challenges or those demands?
Sure. The biggest thing I'd say is I didn't act like I knew all the answers. I went to the sales academy, I got some training, but I wasn't afraid to go to the account executives, where I wanted to be, and ask them for advice, network with managers, network with people within the industries on LinkedIn is a big one. And just asking, what are some tips or tricks that you do, things like that. And that would be the biggest thing. Just, in sports, like Mario said, you're not going to act like you know all the answers. You're going to ask your coach, you're going to ask your teammates for advice and things like that. And so that was probably the biggest thing is I went to them, and obviously I saw where they were, and that's where I wanted to be. So the first few weeks that I was with the Nuggets, I went to lunch with a couple of the guys that had been there for about 2 or 3 years, and like exactly what this is, kind of just pick their brain, ask what they do that works, kind of where they came from. And that helped me a lot, because obviously they were in prime position, just like me and Mario were in your guys' position, a couple years ago. So networking is huge. Asking questions, being coachable is probably the biggest things I'd say. And eventually, just like sports, you put enough repetitions into it, you're gonna get better at it, and you're gonna see success. So that's what probably I would recommend for you guys, is just doing things like this, networking, and getting all the knowledge that you can.
Sweet, thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't say too much of anything different. I think Carlos said it all. But the good thing about working for Kroenke Sports and Entertainment now is I don't know if everyone knows, but the same guy who owns the Nuggets owns the Avalanche, owns the Rapids, owns the Mammoth, owns the Rams in the NFL, Arsenal, soccer team in London. So there's a lot of different opportunities to network with people who are in your job, and maybe for a different capacity, like the NBA or NHL. So just working through those different things, because we do see different challenges, and just like you said, picking their brain. When I was in inside sales for the Rapids, I try to schedule lunches with guys from the Avalanche or guys with the Nuggets, just to see what the differences are, see what the similarity is. Soccer has always been my love, but I wouldn't mind selling for hockey or basketball or different things like that. And like I said, being coachable and being willing to relocate is a big thing as well. I think Carlos and I got lucky kind of with the Rapids and Nuggets, but they say it all the time that you want to go work for people, or you're a team that you think can improve yourself, whether that's in your hometown, whether it's across the country. It's an industry that a lot of people are trying to break into, and it's not the easiest in the world, but just some patience and all that will pay off in the end.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Dakota. Dakota, you have a question?
Yeah, my main question is just basically have you guys gotten the opportunity to work alongside the people you hope to work with? And if so, have you guys been able to learn about the other positions, kind of expand your knowledge within other branches within the company?
Yeah, a little bit. What I would say to that is specifically in ticket sales, it's a little bit more so with the Rapids, because we're kind of I'd say more of a tight knit culture. But every week we have a sales or staff meetings with marketing. We have staff meetings with digital, people that run the social media, everything like that. So there has been opportunities for us to kind of network with them as well, because what inside sales is essentially is it lets you find out what you're good at. So, typically in a department, a ticket sales department, there's going to be some sort of season tickets, group sales, and then service of season tickets. And then also there's branches of, marketing and digital and things like that. So yeah, so what I did kind of when I first started is I went to each department and kind of, asked what they did. And you'll find your niche after a couple months in terms of what you want to do and what your personality is kind of, built for. So yeah, that was kind of a big thing for me, is just seeing what I wanted to do. And I knew that new business is where I wanted to be, because I liked kind of the competitiveness of kind of chasing a sale. But there was people that I worked with that ended up going to marketing, ended up going to working with digital, who does like social media and things like that. So just getting in within the company, and like I said, not being afraid to talk to a bunch of people will allow you to find out what you're passionate about and what you're good at. And opportunities will come the more people you get to know.
Yeah, I think, like you said, we have that, weekly all staff meeting where, you find out about, what the people in marketing are doing, what the people on social media are doing. Because, as a collective group, you need to know that, because when you're, relaying it to any customer or anything, you want to know, what you're talking about. And I think I probably speak for Carlos in this too. I don't, see myself selling tickets for the rest of my life. I don't see that being, the end goal for it. I know a lot of people within our sales staff for the Rapids have moved on to partnership marketing, where they work with, sponsorship and activations. Some people, get out of sports completely and find something else that they're good at. But I think that's kind of the beauty of just getting your foot in the door for, a sports team, because you see how, you see the aspects of how everything works. We get to see, behind the scenes on how projects come together, and then how you have to transition them. I mean, the past year we had it was the MLS's 25th season. There's a bunch of stuff planned with bringing back old players and doing all this stuff, and you kind of had to put it on hold and be coachable and kind of improv on the fly. So seeing that behind the scenes and seeing all the work that goes into a game day, that's kind of the easy part. When the team's playing, when that 90 minutes the team's playing, that's the easy part. That's when you can kind of sit back and watch the game a little bit. All the everything else during the week is kind of what leads up to that. So having the transparency with the Rapids is something that I really enjoy. And I'm not sure how all sports teams work, but that's been a cool thing to see.
All right, let's go to George. George, you have a question for Carlos and Mario?
Yeah, I do. What's going on, Twins? How are you guys?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let me pull up my question. Give me a second. My questions are kind of similar for both of you guys, but so my first question is for you, Mario. Let me pull it up real quick. My computer's being stuff. I said, did you get an internship that directly connected to the position that you have now? And if not, what path did you take to get where you are now? And any tips that we should or could be doing now to prepare us for life after college?
Yeah, so so I applied for the inside sales program when I was still a senior. I was something that just kind of going through LinkedIn, Indeed, kind of a bunch of different stuff. My dog's scratching at the door. I don't know if you guys can hear that, so sorry if you can. But I applied, I think 2 or 3 times to the same position. Had a couple interviews. Didn't get it at first. I met with the guy, but at least just getting my name out there was something that was important. So the biggest thing for us, which unfortunately it kind of shut down over the past year, was the MLS Sales Center. This was really an entry-level position where you go in and see whether you like. I mean, calling strangers who have some level of interest in soccer, based on what we have, isn't an easy thing to do. There's going to be days where you get told no 50 times. You get hung up on. You're saying people, stop calling me, stop emailing me. I don't want this thing. But it's just persevering and kind of taking no as as not the worst thing in the world. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then, like I said, just keep being persistent in it. I applied 3 or 4 times, so they probably kept seeing my name pop up, maybe with a little bit more experience than last time, maybe with a slightly changed resume to say who I am a little bit. And then like I said, I think Coach T was a big influence. I think there was another professor there, his name was Mike Stokes, when we were there, who helped us out a lot. But just getting your name out there, whether it's a LinkedIn message saying, hey, thanks for connecting, maybe we can work together in the future, different things like that. People remember those things, and they'll think about it later on if they're looking for a hiring position. And not reaching out when there's a position open, but beforehand, it's another big thing, I'd say. I had, when I was still in inside sales at the Rapids, I had some interest in going to the Avalanche to see if there'd be, a job there for me. And I just, randomly sent a message or sent an email to their director and said, hey, can we, go out for coffee one day before work. And there wasn't even a job open. I just knew that could prepare me later on for if there was. So just reaching out, not being afraid to, put yourself out there.
Nice. Hey, George, your second question for Carlos?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Mario.
Yeah.
And then for you, Carlos, it's pretty much like the same question. I guess it's just the beginning is, did being involved in collegiate athletics help persuade your decision to continue into the sports market? And did you and your brother go down the same path in your careers? And if not, how is your path different? And then also any tips that you would give us to prepare us for life after college?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So I think it definitely, playing collegiate sports definitely led me into knowing that I wanted a career within the sports industry. And it honestly helped me a lot because, coming from Adams State, it's not a huge name across the country. It's not a huge school. My inside sales class that I came in with, there's 4 of us. I was from Adams State. There was one from Penn State, one from Ohio State, and one from, I think, Northern Iowa. So all bigger D1 schools that probably had a lot more resources and a lot more access to internships and things like that. But that doesn't matter. My boss thankfully told me, I don't care where you went to school. All I care about is the work ethic that you're put in and your personality and how coachable you are. So for us, I mean, like I said, I'm an alumni of Adams State, and I'm proud of it now because it led me to where I am. But don't take that as like a negative. I think coming from a smaller school and things like that, it's not going to hinder you as much as people like to say it's going to. That he told me that it didn't matter, and I was grateful for that. So it's all about like what Mario said, putting yourself out there, networking, and taking the opportunities that come to you. Our path was a little bit different in the way that I had a job offer with a MLS team. Things kind of fell through, and just like any other, anything else in life, I adapted and saw an opportunity with the Nuggets, and I jumped on it, and within a couple weeks that led it to me. So it's kind of weird to say, but I think everything kind of happened for a reason, and I'm at where I'm at because of that. So in terms of tips and tricks, I mean, we keep saying it, but I don't think it can be said enough, is just network with a ton of people. It's one of those industries where it's literally all about who you know. My inside sales manager worked for the Pirates beforehand. Mario's used to work for Sporting Kansas City, worked for the Yankees. My boss now used to work for the Miami Marlins. So everyone that you know is going to know someone else that is hiring somewhere or that worked for this team and things like that. So just getting your name out there, like Mario said, and not being afraid to do something that's going to have them remember your name when you're applying for a job.
Awesome. Great advice there, Carlos and Mario. Appreciate that.
Thanks, Carlos. Thanks, Mario.
Yep.
It's been nice networking with you guys for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, no
Keep
problem.
you guys in touch.
Awesome. Yep. Good. Again, we talked about networking throughout the entire semester, and exactly what Mario and Carlos have talked about, connecting with people, whether it's on LinkedIn, and stepping out and not being afraid to take a chance. Mario kind of shared his experience of, going to lunch with an executive in the industry. So those are all very, very important things you have to do in order to get to where you want to go. So great advice there from the both of you. Let's move on to the next question here. Let's go with Teddy. Teddy, let's go ahead and start with your questions.
My question's kind of been answered, so I kind of came up with a different question. I'm gonna go for both of you guys. I just wanted to see if you guys can maybe elaborate on like the grind that it took to get you guys to where it is. Because yes, it's like it sounds easy, like you got to do this and do that, but maybe you can like elaborate on like the workshops and the training and everything you guys had to do to get to where you guys are at.
Yeah, I'll start. I think, like I said, the Minnesota, training that we did, that was literally, we got there at 9 a.m. and didn't leave till some days 9 p.m., because we were in Minnesota, but we were calling for people in Vancouver. So they're 2 hours, before us. So some of those days, it was tough, but, you're judged on a lot of, like, you're judged on your numbers, similar to sports. You're judged on your, amount of calls you make, amount of emails you send, amount of time you talk on the phone, the amount of, other activities you do. it's all kind of, similar to sports where you're literally competing against your, the other people in your department. Obviously, you want them to succeed, and just like you would your teammate, but it's all kind of on you. There's no one else. They're not holding your hand to say you have to do this thing. If you don't perform, similar to sports, you're not gonna get promoted, get that recognition, different things like that. So just not being the last guy in. We start 9 to 5, not getting there at 9:01, and not having your desk ready for the next day, or leaving right when 5 o'clock hits. But setting yourself up for the next day, setting yourself up for games. When we had games, that's been over a year now, when we actually worked a game. You meet with your clients. You can sit and watch the game for 10 minutes if you like, but if you that extra effort you put in to go meet with the client to say, hey, I know you have a kid who this is his first game. Here's a a scarf or something. Here's an extra beanie that we had or something. Going the extra mile, just like you would in sports, is something that is the same way in working in sports, which is kind of, I would say Carlos would agree that that's the reason we like it. That's the reason over the past year. Carlos and I probably could have got, with our sales experience, maybe some sort of like software sales job or something like that, which there's nothing wrong with that. You make a lot of money doing that, but it's not, what as a sport management major I wanted to do, especially right now in my life. So just, working towards it, and, making it seem like, it's like sports. It's competitive. You get judged on your numbers, and the people who go the extra mile, they'll end up being more successful.
Yep, I'd echo the same thing. Like you said, it's about work ethic and being athletes. Most of us ourselves, we kind of had that work ethic in us. And my inside sales manager told me that a big reason why he hired me was that I did have a sports, college sports on my resume, and I was a captain of the team and things like that, because that's a leadership position, and in life, it's going to be kind of the exact same thing. So obviously, harping on that, and it teaches you time management and teaches you work ethic, like I said. So I would harp on that. If you ever get an interview, say I'm fit for this job because I was an athlete and because I have a sports background. So like you said, it is a grind, but you guys are ready for it, obviously, because you're setting yourself up now.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Good question. All right, let's go to, let's see here. I think we have Cole. Cole, what question do you have for Mario and Carlos?
Hold on, Coach. Let me look at this question real quick.
Okay.
You guys being athletes while you guys were in school, did that help like drive you guys to like go as far as you guys can in this work path? Like, did that have, like, being an athlete with that work ethic, did it like help you when you got into real life?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think 100% it did. I think, just like, most people in sport management, they probably have some sort of sports round or play, a sport for Adam now. And that just, propelled me to, want to do something that, that I'm passionate about, just like you're passionate about football or basketball or soccer or whatever. You want to do something, when you get into real life, it's not, you kind of have one way to go, it's kind of what you want to do. So I would say that, playing sports and just having that, mentality of, trying to beat the guy next to you, but at the same time cheering him on. I think that's kind of the biggest thing, especially in, sports sales that we're in now. And like I said, I don't see myself selling tickets forever. I would, like to take, some sort of job, maybe within a athletic department or some sort of, marketing job where you, work with, sponsors, different things like that. But what we're doing now and, what you're doing now in college, playing sports definitely prepares you for, what you want to do later on. And I hope, I think that's something that, takes with you, whether you're in college or whether you're, a young professional like we are, or, 10, 15 years, down the road.
Yeah, we've been saying it a few times, but it's, like I said, it's really important. It's just, it teaches you work ethic, teaches you, time management, things like that. And hiring managers, whether it's in a sports job or in not, everyone can relate to sports in somehow for the most part. So the things that you take from your teams and your teammates will help you, whatever path you decide to go to, whether that's sports sales or whatever. I would definitely say it helps, and be proud of it and harp on it. Like I said, if you get asked about it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, let's go with, we have one more question from Isaiah. Isaiah, do you have questions for Mario and Carlos?
Yes, sir, I do. My main question is, if you had a chance to go back and change anything, what would you change about the process it took you to get to your career you have now?
I'll go first. I said, I think, I don't know, I wouldn't say I regret it or anything, but I just think doing what you guys are doing now and networking, I don't think I did enough of that when I was in college. And, you know, like I said, when we graduated, we knew we got some part-time jobs and things like that. But setting ourselves up beforehand, I think would have been much more helpful. There was a couple months there that, you know, I kind of came to the realization, like, you know, is this going to happen for me? What am I doing kind of type thing. So I think just putting in the work initially and beforehand is something I wish I did a little bit more. Like I said, and what Coach T is doing now, and you know, getting more connections within the industry and things like that is big, because you know, it helps who you know. It helps if you know what you're getting yourself into. So the one thing I say is just preparing myself a little bit better. Obviously, it took a little bit longer than some people, but I wouldn't regret that I did it, but definitely want to be a little bit more prepared, I'd say.
Good advice. Thank you.
Yeah, so I would say something similar, but you know, something else I would think would say when you first start in inside sales like Carson I did, you're kind of trying to find your way. You know, you don't exactly know, you know, the people you're working with, you know, the products you're selling sometimes, and you know, it's kind of just like if you're studying film or studying, you know, a game plan or something. The more you put into it, you know, the more you're going to get out of it. So in the beginning, I was kind of just, you know, I liked it, the fact that I was, oh, this is so cool. I'm working for a sports team. I just, you know, I kind of took it for granted a little bit. You know, I maybe didn't put in as much effort as I would have liked in the first couple months. I think later on, you know, I found that a little bit. But I think just, you know, like I said, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Just like in sports now. So, you know, if you're there 9 to 5, you know, you'll make a few sales, you'll do all right. But the guy who's there at, you know, 8:30 and doesn't leave until 6 on some nights, he's going to get, you know, he or she is going to get, you know, a little bit of a leg up. So just making sure that, you know, you don't have any regrets on, you know, like what Carlos said, now when you're in college, and if you do start, and like I said, there's at least for us, there wasn't a way for like us to be too proud to take a job. You know, the first job we took, that part-time job, it was minimum wage. It was 10 something bucks an hour. It was, you know, it wasn't very glamorous. You were, you know, putting up tents, you were, you know, sweating, you were running around the stadium, different things like that. Maybe not exactly what I pictured, but I don't think I would have traded that, because, you know, I wasn't too proud to take a minimum wage job, even though you know, I'm a college graduate. I think I deserve more. That's just the nature of the business at that point. So just not being too proud and, you know, putting in the effort, because it'll pay off.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you.
Now, I know we have a few students that are not in the 410 class that are joining us today, so I want to give them an opportunity if they have any questions. Ivan, you had a question for Mario and Carlos?
Yeah. How's it going, guys? I just have a quick question. What are your guys' relations with the youth academy? And how are some of the things impacted the professional side? Like, for example, from the youth academy all the way to the professionals, does that have a big impact on that kind of like culture, trying to grow? You know, like you said, you know, sometimes you guys miss. It's really difficult to kind of sell tickets to the Colorado Rapids fans because of the lack of kind of like the culture that's barely growing. So what are the things that are like relations that you have with Youth Academy, if you have any?
Yes, I'll touch on that. Like I said, so my primary role is, like I said, I work with a lot of the youth clubs around the area. I work with, you know, some bigger clubs who have, you know, 5,000 to 10,000 kids. Some of them who have, you know, 100. But the Rapids Youth Club, especially in Colorado, is the biggest one in all of Colorado. I think there's around maybe 12,000 players, and those are, you know, loosely associated with us. They kind of just wear the same logo, and then that, you know, funnels into the academy. But in working with those other soccer teams, you know, there's a lot of them see us as a rival or a competitor, because, you know, their kids are playing against your kids on Saturday. They're like, you know, why would I support, you know, my rival club or anything like that? So we're just working through that, and, you know, making sure that, you know, the youth side of it and then the professional side, you know, that make sure that people know that they're different entities, and that, you know, although they work together and they're, you know, obviously wear the same badge, that, you know, they're separate in a way as well. And then for me personally, working with the youth academy, I think my connections to them is, I guess I'll just give you some context. All of the youth academy players who are in the development academy, who they're required to have season tickets. That's pretty much the only thing that they pay for. So that's a way for them to bring out, them and to see the professional game and to, kind of grow it in that sense as well. But it's been a tough, year with them not being able to play, kind of the restrictions that have been in place, and just like you said, the level of fandom it's in Colorado. It's hard to distinguish the two between them and the club sometimes, but overall I think it's a good relationship. And like I said, I coach for the Rapid Youth Club currently now, and just kind of working up towards that, because like I said, just getting your foot in the door, whatever it is, is helpful.
And I kind of harp on that too, because how we kind of look at it from the Rapids is a little bit different than when I was at the Nuggets. The Nuggets, like they had a solid season ticket member fan base. They had people that were interested. They had big corporations that had suites and season tickets and stuff for them. But for the Rapids, we kind of have a couple, I guess, funnels that we take from in terms of taking, we call them sports enthusiasts. So everyone that's gone to a game with the Rapids or the Avalanche, Nuggets, obviously they're interested in sports. We're trying to take those people that we categorize as sports enthusiasts and, pretty much convert them into soccer fans, convert them into Rapids fans. Because if you think about it, our season runs in the summer, normally from March to October. So it runs all through the summer, and the only teams we're really competing against in Denver is the Rockies. And obviously the Rockies have a downtown stadium. They have a lot of, season ticket holders and fans like that. But what we're trying to do essentially is taking people that have an interest in soccer. So, people that are tied to the academy, or people that, are tied to sports in some way, and converting them into sports fans, converting them into soccer fans. So, and our ethos at the club is trying to be the heartbeat of sport in Colorado. So that's what they harp on us a lot. And like I said, we're just trying to take everyone that has an interest in athletics and interest in sports and show them our product. We have a nice stadium. We have a good team this year, and just show them that this is something that they'll enjoy, whether it's a family, a big business, academy players, youth players, everything. So that's kind of our big focus this season.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I know we're running out of time, everyone, and I really appreciate Carlos and Mario. And we have a few students that are on that may not have had a chance to ask any questions for both of you. So if I'll leave that open to the floor. If there's anyone else that would like to add a question to Carlos and Mario before we end, I'll let you do that now if you have any questions for them. I think we have Cole. Well, we got questions from Cole already. Tracy, Hale, let's see here, Cutter and Caitlin. If you have any questions, additional questions, you can ask now. If not, we'll go ahead and end our session. But again, thank you, Mario and Carlos, very much for joining our session today. It's been very helpful for us as a class, discussing about economics of sport and looking at the professional model, looking at the collegiate model, and also at the youth level as well, and how it impacts our economy. But looking at the sport industry as a whole, especially now we're looking at the MLS industry and kind of taking a look at that, and also learning a little bit about the Denver Nuggets and your experience from Denver Nuggets to the Colorado Rapids. So again, any questions from anybody else they'd like to ask before we finish our session today? Okay. Now we do have some gifts, so we're going to send it out to you, Carlos and Mario. So I'll get your information through LinkedIn. We're going to send it out to you from our class, just to thank you for all that you've done and being an advocate for us. Again, this is very helpful. A lot of good information about networking that I've heard from Carlos and Mario, and what you should be doing now, not later after you graduate. Take the things that they have shared with you, apply it. I would highly recommend to connect with Carlos and Mario through LinkedIn. If you have LinkedIn, which all of you do because you've done it for an assignment for my classes, connect with these two and communicate with them. At least that way you have someone connected in the sport industry. Whether you decide to pursue this avenue or not, going the professional route or not, it's great to have connection with those in the industry. So again, Mario, Carlos, thank you very much for joining our session today. I'm sure that we'll have you back again for other courses in the near future, but I'll get all your information and send out a package for you guys, just to kind of a thank you from us here at Adams State. All right. So thanks again, guys. This ends our session for today. I want to wish you guys a good weekend. For our class, we'll be back in class on Monday with the entire class. We're not doing separate groups. But thank you, Mario, and thank you, Carlos. You guys have a good weekend. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Send us emails, whatever. We're happy to do that.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Mario. Perfect. Have a good weekend, Carlos. Take care.
Appreciate y'all.
Yep. Have a good one.
Hey, coach.
Hi.
This is Ivan. Sorry about that, coach.
No, and I'm glad that you